Well, joining me on Talking Pints today is Ian Paisley from the DUP. Ian, cheers.
Cheers.
Welcome to GBNews.
Yeah. How come I don't have a pint?
Well,
is this some European measurement?
This is what you ordered. So
I'm glad you made that clear.
We give you pretty much what you wanted.
Well
in fact, Jacob Rees-Mogg even brought his own cider in. So there you are.
Very good.
Ian, Member of Parliament, active politician. I just must ask you to begin with, how difficult was it to go into politics, given just this giant figure? I mean, giant in every way that your father was.
Difficult in some ways, easy in other ways. You know, the hardest thing in politics is to create a name or a brand. I mean, I was born with it, essentially.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, a name recognition immediately. So I had possibly the huge benefit of that. I also had, Nigel, the actual bug. I wanted to do it, and I think that's important. You have to want to do politics. And the fact that I got an insider's view on what politics really looked like, helping people, working for the community, being an antenna of issues, and also being able to advocate for them. I saw that and saw the skills that were needed. So there was huge advantages, huge disadvantages, and automatically you're stereotyped. Automatically people know everything about you even though they've never met you.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, but that's...
I'm an expert.
Yeah, yeah. And most people get that, you know, who are in it. So I had those pluses and minuses, but ultimately I wanted to do this, and my father was a huge encouragement and saying, if you want to do it, make sure every day you wake up, you want to do this.
Do you want to do it? No. Well,
it's no dress rehearsal in life.
It's an interesting answer because I just sort of thought to it. I thought myself it must have been really hard, but clearly it wasn't particularly. Ian, Northern Ireland, you know, decades of, I think, violence and unpleasantness on a level that a lot of people in England still don't fully perhaps understand, and it was pretty awful. Yeah. You obviously on the unionist side of the divide. When you look back at the Belfast Agreement, you know, and I with no direct family link to Northern Ireland, but I've always thought it was an integral part of the United Kingdom and should be treated as such, and I was appalled to see that increasingly it wasn't being. I had reservations about the Belfast Agreement. It seemed to me letting out that number of convicted murderers, some of whom had served as little as 18 months in prison. I had my reservations about it. And I know that Northern Ireland's got some problems now, we'll come to them. But how do you now feel 25 years on? I mean, it was, you know, the unionist community had to pay quite a big price.
Unionists paid a massive price. And we paid that price basically to get people to stop killing us. I mean, that's the long and the short of it. And when people stop killing you, you actually can start getting on with each other. And that ultimately is what happened, that there was a huge compromise made to get peace. And when you take yourself out of Northern Ireland and try to take the overview of all peace processes around the world, you either have a situation where you wipe the other side out and still have problems, or you come to a compromise and still have problems. So there's no easy way in making peace.
No.
It's a slow process. It's drip by drip. It's step by step. That's what's been happening. And 20, 25 years after the peace process, of course, a lot of things that we said have come true. We still don't have the sort of stability that we'd like. But thankfully, we have a foundation stone upon which we can build a political process.
And Belfast, you know...
It's buzzing, actually.
I mean, the last few years I've been in Belfast, and it's felt like a British city.
Yeah, yeah.
It hasn't felt under siege, as it was when I first went there in the sort of early, middle 90s. And the Titanic quarter and all the extraordinary things that have happened. So it was worth it. The compromises were worth it.
We have practically full employment to a lot of things. You know, we have very, very low unemployment levels. Now, that's because we have a huge public sector. But we very much are a British country, very much a British town feel to it. And despite the fact that people have a different identity. I mean, a large part of the community has a nationalist identity. And there still is a small B British.
And yet you all play rugby together.
Yeah.
How does that work? How does Northern Ireland, with its Protestant Catholic divide, its unionist nationalist divide, the Republic, part of the United Kingdom, one's in the EU, one's out of the EU. how is it when it comes to rugby, you all get together?
And there's no protocol.
I mean,
It works. And it works.
Well, that's the point.
It works.
But isn't that fascinating?
It is fascinating. Well, of course, sport's more important than anything else.
Well, clearly,
sport does bring people together. It's a magical thing. I mean, look at the biggest, I suppose, the most healing symbol of a sports person in Northern Ireland is probably someone like Mary Peters, Dame Mary Peters, where she's brought the entire community together. No one asks what side she's on or is. She's on the side of Northern Ireland and the young people of Northern Ireland. And you get that, I think, when you look at our sports people. Johnny Ray, the world motorcycle champion, 5 times world motorcycle champion. You get all that with all of our sporting stars.
And little Northern Ireland has, and I say little because people
we're only the
forget,
size of Greater Manchester.
I mean, it's not in population terms enormous. What is it? 1.7
7 million, 1.7 million. Yeah.
And yet you've produced 3 major golf winners: Graham McDowell, Darren Clarke, and of course Rory McIlroy. So and I guess they have to be slightly careful what they say. But again, sport brings people together in the most remarkable way. The DUP. I mean, how can I describe to an audience that don't understand this? I would say that the official Ulster Unionist Party were like the traditional Conservative Party in this country. And the DUP, which your father founded, was a bit like the UKIP, really, challenging the establishment Conservatives.
A charismatic figure at its head.
Well, but I tell you what, I once did a public event with your dad, and it was a group of workers that had come to Strasbourg, and we were the only 2 MEPs that went to meet them. Because they were in the tobacco industry, so others wouldn't. And I have to say, that sharing, I say a platform, we both stood up on a wall to speak to these trade union representatives that come, and I have to say I did feel a bit like a shrinking violet compared next to him.
Yes, he was a huge personality.
And a really, really big voice, But no, Ian, it is really interesting looking at Northern Ireland. The DUP, as I say, was like the UKIP in a sense. You challenged quite a stuffy Conservative Party who were not particularly in touch with working people in Northern Ireland. And Bush, the DUP, goes from nothing, and it grows, and it grows, and it grows, and then suddenly it becomes, the biggest party in Northern Ireland, and Sinn Féin grows as well. But the DUP has been the dominant party in Northern Ireland for a long time. If we believe polling commissioned by the Belfast Telegraph, it suggests that support for the DUP has now collapsed to 13%, putting you behind not just the official Ulster Unionist Party, but the traditional Unionist Party as well. So, you say smaller parties, you're the small party now. So what's gone on?
I think there's
it's a catastrophic loss of trust.
Well, first of all, you know about polling. So some of the polling we do take a bit of a pinch of salt with it, but you have to be realistic.
Ian, I know about polling and good weeks and bad weeks, but this actually has been a trend.
You have to, exactly, you have to actually take this on board and address it, and we're trying to.
You thought you'd come for a friendly drink, didn't you?
No, I agree with you. I mean, to ignore that would be stupid, and you ignore stuff like that at your peril. And politics must be about being realistic. It must also be about being in touch. And losing some of that touch with the community, probably we've been a victim of our own success. We've grown so fast, so quickly. We also have, unfortunately, because of our period of time in supporting the government, which we would hope would have delivered Brexit on the same terms as the rest of the United Kingdom, suddenly found that Northern Ireland was expendable. And we're at the end of that punishment because people want Brexit to work. Even those who didn't vote for it, they still want a deal that works for them. And now it's costing Northern Ireland £850 million a year to administer a protocol that is ruining the economy of Northern Ireland. Now, it just doesn't ruin the unionist bit of the economy. It ruins all of the economy.
But just share,
and the government's got to fix this.
Just share with our viewers some of the difficulties of getting goods from the UK into Northern Ireland.
I mean, it's almost where do you start? So there's now massive friction on anything coming in to Northern Ireland, which is just another city in the United Kingdom, now faces essentially a border check, a border crossing. That is wrong. So internal trade, I remember we do 70% of our trade with the rest of GB. That is now facing friction. And that is causing delays. It's causing some companies saying, this is too complicated.
Because we can't export saplings, tree saplings into Northern Ireland. So Northern Ireland can't join the Queen's Canopy
if there's
Woodland
British
Trust
soil
project for
on British plants coming into Northern Ireland, they're, according to the EU, contaminated. They can't come into Northern Ireland because Northern Ireland has to be a proxy zone for the EU's goods, and we cannot damage the European single market, but we can destroy the UK.
And this all negotiated.
By Boris Johnson.
Well,
the man who we kept in government.
Well, and
Theresa May.
And Michel Barnier,
yes,
who now says he wants French sovereignty.
Oh, don't start me on him.
We'll skip Theresa May. She's not worth discussing, in my view. But Boris Johnson, you're quite right. There was an arrangement whereby the DUP did keep the Conservatives with a majority.
Yep.
And the thanks you got for it were Boris came to one of your party conferences and spoke and gave absolute assurances that there would not be effectively a border in the Irish Sea.
And then he went out and built one. That's unbelievable.
Did Boris lie to you? Or, amidst, over 1,000 pages of document, which is quite, don't forget, the Prime Minister's the Prime Minister, but he's got a load of people negotiating on his behalf.
Yep.
Did the Prime Minister lie to you? Or is this just detail that he didn't fully understand?
I think you have to give him the benefit of the doubt in one degree, in that he probably didn't read it. But he was aware that this was a problem. This was flagged up from October 2019. He knew there was a problem. I looked him in the eye and I said, Boris, you cannot let this happen. And he said, oh, it'll be fixed, don't worry, it'll be fixed. No, you can't allow it to happen. Because putting the toothpaste back in the tube is impossible. You can't allow it to happen. Now we're trying to really pick up those pieces and to fix our economy. And a little bit of wonder, the public then feels switched off, alienated, concerned. But of course, the problem for the unionist people, and small unionist people, not big unionist people, small unionist people, the problem for them is if they don't vote for our party, if they split our vote, you'll then have a Sinn Féin government, and you'll then have a border poll for a united Ireland. And we'll have the same problems that Scotland's going through about campaigning for breaking up the
you say that.
Union.
You say that, but actually, whenever we see polling in Northern Ireland...
It's much better. They like the union, they don't like unionists.
Yeah. I mean, there is a significant number of Catholic-born people in Northern Ireland who would not vote to join the Republic, who don't want to join the Euro. So I don't
But it does cause a trend. It does cause a bandwagon.
No.
We've got to stop that.
I'm not being complacent about it. I'm not being complacent about it. But Boris Johnson may have lied or may not have lied. But in a sense, the DUP, were you straight enough with the Irish electorate?
Oh, absolutely. I think, it's if you're betrayed, that's one thing. If you're doing the betrayal, that's something completely different.
Yeah.
I do not believe at any point that we tried to betray or even attempted to, or were part of a betrayal of the British people in Northern Ireland. What happened was we were betrayed. We gave our trust to something, and we were betrayed.
So the Northern Ireland, look, and you and I were both passionate about the Brexit.
Absolutely.
And I remember I spoke to you on the day that we left the European Union, 31st of January, 2020.
The wee hours of the morning.
And the wee hours of the morning was when we spoke about on the night of the referendum. Yeah. But I was in Parliament Square with a huge celebration going on, and you weren't there because there wasn't much to celebrate in Northern Ireland, and you fully understood that. So the Northern Irish Protocol, I call it Barnier's poison pill. I doubt Boris read the detail. He's not that sort of bloke, frankly. If we just say, that's it, just as Ursula von der Leyen, who threatened to put back a hard border in Ireland.
January.
I mean, this is extraordinary. But if we say, right, the Northern Irish Protocol isn't working out. It's brought a border inside the territory of the United Kingdom. It's threatened its integrity. It's madness that one lorry load of goods could need 700 pages of paperwork or whatever it may be. We are calling time on it. We're going to trigger the clause and call time on it. The problem is, the threat against that is that we might find the French even more uncooperative in the English Channel. We might find a trade war with France.
But you're going to see the institutions in Northern Ireland collapse. We're on a ticking time bomb with the political institutions that have created the peace, the stability.
Is it under threat, Ian Paisley?
It's seriously under threat.
Is peace under threat?
Well, when you have no political institutions, you then have zero political leadership. You then create the space for people who want to come out onto the streets will come out onto the streets. Now, we're saying loudly and clearly to the government, sort this out. You've set a time frame for the middle to end of October. Sort it out by then. Okay. Otherwise, you've collapsed institutions.
And your message, finally, your message to Boris Johnson?
Boris Johnson, pull your finger out and sort this problem out as a priority. This isn't going away. You've got hours to sort it out.
I sense that's right.
Welcome to the GB News YouTube channel. You can watch us live 24 hours a day, catch up on your favourite shows and join in the conversation in the comments below.
Don't forget to subscribe and you'll never miss any of our exclusive content.